I started with one truck and a dream. Back then, I didn't have investors or fancy plans. Just grit, sleepless nights, and deliveries that never stopped. I drove cross-country runs, slept in motels, ate from gas stations. Every mile felt like a small victory. People laughed when I said I'd own a fleet one day. But I did it. 10 years later, 40 trucks carried my name. Miller Logistics wasn't just a business. It was my life's work, every dollar earned through sweat and risk. That's where I met Laura. She worked as a receptionist at a medical supply office. Every morning, she'd smile when I dropped off packages. That smile kept me going through the long routes. We started dating when my truck still smelled like diesel and coffee. 2 years later, we married in a small church with plastic flowers. No one believed it would last. But for a while, it did. We had our first child, Sophie, then Liam 2 years later. I thought we'd made it. I thought love and hard work were enough. Laura quit her job to raise the kids. I agreed. She deserved that peace after years of stress. Money was good. We moved into a quiet suburb with a yard and a swing set. It felt like the American dream had finally landed on our doorstep. But Laura's parents were always there in the background. Hank and Deborah. They lived like life was one long emergency. A broken car, unpaid bills, medical debt. There was always something. At first, I didn't mind helping. Family helps family. That's what my father taught me. So I paid for Hank's back surgery. I covered 3 months of their mortgage. I even bought them a used car when theirs died. Laura said I was a good man. I believed her. But help turned into habit. Every favor became an expectation. Hank would show up at our door with his sad eyes and long stories. Deborah would cry over the phone about late payments. They never said thank you. Just, when can you send it? I tried to set limits. Laura would plead, saying, they have no one else. And I'd cave again. $60,000 over the years, gone without a trace. Still, I told myself it was worth it for peace. But peace never lasted. They always wanted more. Hank refused better jobs because his back hurt. Deborah hopped from one part-time gig to another. They smoked, played the lottery, bought things they couldn't afford. Their fridge was empty, but there was always beer. I began to see the pattern. They didn't need help. They needed someone to carry their mistakes. And Laura, caught between guilt and loyalty, let them. The more successful we became, the worse it got. Every raise, every new contract came with another request. And Laura's guilt grew with our bank balance. She'd say, we have so much, they have so little. But what I heard was, you'll never have enough to satisfy them. I ignored the warning signs. I thought love could balance it out. But I was wrong. What I built with my hands was solid. What I built with my heart was starting to crack. It started like any other Sunday. Laura wanted to visit her parents for dinner. I didn't want to go, but I said yes. Keeping the peace felt easier than another argument. Their house smelled like cigarettes and fried oil. The wallpaper was peeling, the carpet sticky under my shoes. Hank was already on his third beer when we arrived. Deborah smiled too wide, that forced politeness I knew too well. Dinner was overcooked pork and green beans drowned in butter. Sophie pushed food around her plate. Liam whispered that the mashed potatoes tasted weird. I told them to be polite and eat what they could. The TV was on loud, tuned to some game show. Hank complained about taxes and how the system kills people like him. I nodded and let him rant. Laura looked tense, like she was waiting for something. Halfway through the meal, Hank cleared his throat. The landlord's selling this place, he said. We've got 60 days to move out. I paused, fork midair. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. I can help you find another rental. Deborah gave me a look that could cut glass. Oh, Ethan, she said sweetly. Successful men like you take care of family. They buy houses for them. The room went silent. Laura's sister stared at her plate. Her brother-in-law looked at me with pity. Laura didn't hesitate. Mom's right, she said. It wouldn't even hurt you. You made $8 million last year. I tried to keep my voice calm. That was revenue, not profit. After costs, I take home about $400,000. Hank laughed. $400,000 must be nice. You're rich, son, don't pretend otherwise. I felt my jaw tighten. Those are business assets, Hank, not cash in my pocket. He waved his hand. Excuses. Real men take care of family. Lyra crossed her arms. Mom and Dad worked hard all their lives. They deserve comfort. They can still work, I said. They're not that old. Deborah frowned. You want us to work until we die. I want you to take responsibility, I thought, but didn't say. The air turned heavy. No one spoke for a full minute. Finally, I said, I can't buy a house for you. Hank slammed his beer down. So that's it, after all we've done for you. I looked him in the eye. What exactly have you done for me? He sputtered, turned red. Laura grabbed her purse. We're leaving, she said coldly. The car ride home was silent. The kids sat in the back, afraid to speak. 10 minutes later, Laura snapped. You embarrassed me in front of my parents. They demanded $500,000, I said. They asked for help, she shot back. Help doesn't mean buying them a mansion, I replied. She glared at me, eyes wet with anger. You spend more than that on trucks. Those trucks earn money. Your parents just spend it. She went quiet. Her silence was worse than shouting. When we got home, she went straight to the guest room. I tucked the kids into bed. Sophie asked if we were getting divorced. I said no. But deep down, I knew something had broken that night. Not just between us and her parents. Between me and her. Between trust and betrayal. The days after that dinner felt like living in a storm. Laura barely spoke to me. When she did, her words were sharp and cold. She stopped sitting beside me at meals. She stopped kissing me goodnight. Our house turned quiet, like everyone was holding their breath. The kids felt it too. Sophie stayed in her room, headphones on. Liam asked if Mommy was mad at me. I told him everything was fine, but it was. Laura began making small comments to the kids. Daddy doesn't think Grandma deserves a nice home. Daddy only cares about his trucks. Every word twisted the knife deeper. I heard her late at night, whispering on the phone. Her voice low, angry, urgent. I caught pieces of words, lawyer, custody, half. My stomach dropped. She wasn't just angry. She was planning. A week later, I came home and found her waiting in the living room. Her laptop was open, papers spread across the table. She wore makeup and a calm smile that felt wrong. We need to talk, she said. I sat down. If this is about your parents again. It's about our future, she interrupted. She slid a folder toward me. Inside were printouts from divorce lawyer websites. Highlighted lines about asset division, alimony, and custody laws. She'd done her homework. My throat went dry. Laura, what is this? This is what happens if we split, she said. I get half of everything. The business, the house, the savings. She pointed at a spreadsheet. She had listed every asset I owned. The company, valued at $8 million. Half for her. House equity, $300,000. Half for her. Investments in cash, $200,000. Half again. She looked proud of herself. I already spoke with a lawyer, she said. She says I could walk away with $4 million, maybe more. I stared at her. You're blackmailing me. She smiled. I'm being realistic. Buy my parents a house or I'll file. Either way, they'll get their home. Something inside me went still. You've thought this through, I said quietly. I have, she replied. Her confidence was chilling. She believed she'd cornered me completely. She even had a deadline. You have until Friday, she said. The house they want has other buyers. That night, I sat in my office and stared at the wall. The woman I loved had become my opponent. I poured another drink and called my brother Daniel. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he sighed. She actually said that, out loud. Word for word, I told him. There was a pause. Okay, he said finally. Don't react. Let me make some calls. There's a legal way to end this. For the first time that week, I felt a spark of control. She wanted to play games with money. But she'd forgotten who built it all. And I wasn't done fighting. Daniel called the next morning with a plan. His voice was calm, steady, the way it always was when things got serious. You can't stop her from filing, he said. But you can make sure there's nothing for her to take. I leaned back in my chair, heart pounding. What do you mean? Sell the company to me, he said. For $1. I laughed, thinking he was joking. He was. Business valuations in divorce are based on ownership at filing, he explained. If you don't own it, she can't claim it. That sounds like fraud. Not if it's real, he said. Legal transfer, proper documents, real operation. I'll keep it running exactly as is. He paused. We can reverse it later, after it's all over. I hesitated. Selling the company felt like cutting off a limb. But losing everything to blackmail felt worse. Daniel wasn't done. There's more, he said. Move your personal assets into a trust for the kids, an irrevocable one. He explained that a trust like that couldn't be touched in divorce court. If I wasn't the beneficiary, I didn't own it. Legally, I'd be broke. Emotionally, I'd still have everything that mattered, my kids. We worked nonstop for 2 days. Every paper filed, every signature notarized. I went to work pretending nothing had changed. Laura thought I was giving her time to decide. In truth, I was dismantling everything she wanted to claim. I sold the business to Daniel for $1. He assumed all debts and obligations. It was clean, legal, final. Then I funded the trust for Sophie and Liam. Every savings account, every investment gone from my name. By Thursday night, I technically owned nothing but my pickup truck. Laura didn't suspect a thing. She was too busy browsing listings online. I watched her talk to her mother about furniture and colors. They'd already planned where the pool table would go. It was surreal, hearing her dream about a house she'd never owned. Friday morning came. She was humming while packing the kids' lunches. She even made Eggs Benedict my favorite. She smiled. So, have you made your decision? I have, I said. Her eyes lit up like she'd already won. I handed her a folder. I decided you should have your divorce. The color drained from her face. What? I opened the folder. The company was sold 3 days ago, for $1, to Daniel. Her mouth fell open. You can't do that. Already did, I said. Here's the state filing. I showed her another document. Our savings and investments are in a trust for the kids. Irrevocable. She began shaking. That's illegal. No, it's not. It's all filed and verified. Her voice cracked. You think you're so clever. I didn't answer. Her lawyer could try, but there was nothing left to take. She wanted half of everything. Now she could have half of nothing. And for the first time in months, I finally felt free. The house exploded with noise after that morning. Laura screamed until her voice broke. She called her lawyer, her parents, anyone who would listen. I packed a small bag and left for Daniel's house. He and his wife had a guest room ready before I arrived. Stay here until it's over, Daniel said. I nodded, too tired to argue. By Monday, Laura had filed for divorce. She hired the same attorney she bragged about before. When her lawyer saw the paperwork, she looked stunned. "Your husband sold an $8 million company for $1, she asked. Laura tried to claim fraud. But the sale was real, documented and filed. The trust for the kids was untouchable. Everything was legal. Her case fell apart before it began. Weeks passed in a blur of lawyers and hearings. She accused me of hiding assets. They subpoenaed Daniel, hired accountants, searched every record. They found nothing. I had nothing left to hide. At the first settlement conference, she demanded full custody and support. Her lawyer wanted child payments based on my old income. My attorney simply said, "Prove he earns that now." They couldn't. My only income was my consulting salary, $60,000 a year. The mediator frowned. "Let's focus on the children's best interest," he said. I agreed immediately. Joint custody, shared expenses, sale of the house, split proceeds. Laura's eyes filled with panic. She realized there was no money waiting for her. She'd get $6,000 from what remained. Her lawyer whispered, but she wasn't listening. She started crying, not the fake kind this time. Real tears. She said her parents were being evicted. She said she had nowhere to go. I stayed silent. The mediator approved the agreement. It was over in less than an hour. When the judge signed the final papers, 12 years of marriage ended. Laura looked at me like she didn't recognize who I was. Outside the courthouse, Hank confronted me. "You ruined us," he yelled. "You'll burn in hell for this." I looked him in the eye. "You ruined yourselves," I said. "You had 40 years to build something and chose not to." He turned red, fists clenched, but said nothing else. Deborah cried, muttering curses between sobs. Laura stood behind them, pale and hollow. For a second, I almost pitied her. Then I remembered her threat. The spreadsheet, the manipulation. Daniel put a hand on my shoulder. "Let's go home," he said. That night, I saw the kids. Sophie hugged me first, then Liam. They didn't ask questions. They just wanted pizza and cartoons. The silence in my heart finally eased. Laura texted later, begging to talk. I didn't reply. She'd gambled everything on greed and control. Now all she had left was regret. And I had peace, something she could never buy. A month after the divorce, Daniel called me. His voice carried something new, excitement. "Amazon signed the contract," he said. "The company's value just tripled." I laughed softly. "Good for you, man." He paused. "No, good for you. I'm selling it back to you. Fair market price, $12 million. I froze. He was serious. "You built it," he said. I just held it for a while. $12 million. Even after taxes, it meant security for life. I met him at a cafe the next morning. He slid the contract across the table. I signed it without hesitation. Miller Logistics was mine again. I walked out into the sunlight, lighter than I'd felt in years. The storm had passed. The business was thriving. The kids were smiling again. Laura had moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. She was working as a dental receptionist, barely getting by. Her parents were in a one-bedroom unit, already behind on rent. They blamed her for losing their dream house. She blamed them for ruining her marriage. They barely spoke now. Every problem they'd buried had come to the surface. And for once, I wasn't part of it. The kids adjusted better than I expected. Therapy helped. Sophie stopped asking if we'd get back together. Liam stopped hiding when we dropped him at Laura's place. We created a rhythm, 2 homes but one family that still worked. Sometimes Laura texted, short messages that didn't need replies. "Can you help them with rent?" I never answered. An hour later she'd write, "I guess I deserve that." Then, "I'm sorry for everything." Still, I stayed silent. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Last week, I took Sophie and Liam to see a new house. 4 bedrooms, big yard, nothing fancy but warm. They ran through the halls, laughing like they hadn't in months. "This is our house?" Liam asked. "Yes, buddy," I said. He smiled so wide it hurt to look. That night, we had ice cream for dinner. Chocolate for Sophie, strawberry for Liam, vanilla for me. Simple, sweet, peaceful. Laura texted again that night. "My parents say you ruined them." I showed the message to Daniel, who just laughed. "Ruined them. They did that themselves." He was right. They were still waiting for someone to rescue them. Still scratching lottery tickets, hoping luck would fix life. But I was done being their safety net. Tomorrow, I start rebuilding for real. New contracts, new drivers, new beginnings. The kids deserve stability, not chaos. The past is ashes now, and that's fine. Sometimes, you have to let everything burn to see clearly again. I looked out the window as the sun set. The light hit the street just right, golden and clean. For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger or loss. Just freedom. And that was worth more than any house, any company, any fortune. The nights are quiet now. No shouting through walls, no guilt hanging in the air. The kids sleep peacefully, their laughter filling the mornings. Sometimes I still think about Laura. Not with anger, just a distant ache for what could have been. She sends messages now and then, short and tired. The kids miss us together. I don't reply. They're happier this way, free from the tension we created. Hank and Deborah are still struggling, chasing miracles that never come. They were architects of their own downfall. I stopped trying to save people who refuse to save themselves. The company is growing faster than ever. Daniel says I finally look alive again. Maybe I do. I've learned that money doesn't buy loyalty. And love doesn't survive control. The line between caring and enabling is razor thin. When someone shows you their greed, believe them. Walk away before they burn your world to ash. I lost everything once and somehow gained it all back. But what I really earned was clarity. Never let fear or love be used as a weapon against you. Freedom isn't free. It costs everything you're willing to lose.